Hey everyone, so I finally managed to pull myself Heng Imbibitor Lunae. I did it on just one random little summon. Here's a screenshot. I managed to get two of him in one multi. It was crazy. It was awesome. I really wish I recorded it. It was just one random little summon I did just because I had enough. And yeah, sucks to suck, I guess. But luckily, that means today we are able to do the showcase for Heng Imbibitor Lunae. This is initial showcase. This isn't him at max. This is him just how he is. We'll be doing a max showcase one day whenever I end up maxing him out. But we're going to be going over his kit. If you haven't been a part of any of the showcases before, what we do first is we go over his kit, and then we look at his light cone, traces, relics, stuff like that. What I recommend, what's good optimal, what is good free to play, some other things you could do to actually build for him, and what you should be looking for in the first place so you can make the smart decisions yourselves. And then, of course, we'll be looking at him in some content. We're going to be doing a couple different teams that could show off exactly how good or how bad he can be. Of course, all for, hey, should you pull for him? Which is honestly, no. You should not really be pulling for Heng Imbibitor Lunae. I'm going to be honest. The best team in the game is going to be Mono Quantum. We're getting 2 Quantum characters later, just in a couple days. And then, of course, we have Silverwolf already, who makes that team possible. And then you could fit really any other character there. Zila or what's her name? The Jade Lady can work. The team is just going to be so good that I just can't see any reason why you should be spending Jade on someone like Heng, despite him being quite good. Now, Heng is a imaginary character. He does a imaginary damage. Now, imaginary was definitely had a drought for a really long time. There's only one imaginary character for a really long time, and that was Welt. And there's no way to actually guarantee him unless you got the 500, I think, pulls to guarantee one of those characters. And even then, I would say Welt probably wasn't the best one at the time, and even less so now that there are more imaginary characters. Not that he's bad or anything. It's just that Bronya's better. But him being imaginary, Loach is imaginary, Yukong's imaginary, and you could get her for free. She's a free-to-play character that you can get. And then, of course, Welt as well. You could have a mono imaginary team, and honestly, it would be quite good with these, with what we have here. They're all quite good. But he's really good, and of course, being able to apply the imprisonment effect, delaying the enemy's action, reducing its speed, is quite great. He's also of the Path of Destruction. Now, we just got another Destruction character in Blade not that long ago, and of course, Destruction is kind of like an all-arounder. They can get hit, but they can't tank, but they can at least take hits, and they could do really good single target and multi-target damage, but not better than the characters that are just proficient in that type, right? You can do single target damage, but not as great as characters that Hunt can, and can do multi-target damage, but not as great as characters of Erudition can. So they're kind of like an all-rounder. They're very useful, though. Most of the Path of Destruction characters have been some of the best in the game, such as Heng Imbibitor Lunae here, and Blade have been really next level. Let's go over their abilities. His technique is a little weird, and we're going to be going over that right before the ultimate. Usually I start with the technique, but the technique has a lot to do with some of the other kit stuff, so we'll go over that later. So let's go over his talent, and we won't talk about any of the bonus effects yet, because those come from dupes or from traces. So we're just looking at the stuff up here. So Righteous Heart. After each hit dealt during an attack, Heng Imbibitor Lunae gains 1 stack of Righteous Heart, which increases damage by a scaling percentage. This effect can stack up to 6 times, lasting until the end of his turn. So you get these different stacks by each hit dealt during an attack. He has many abilities that do multi-hits, so they stack up to just add extra damage onto his stuff, which is really good. Just extra bonus damage for doing multiple hits, which is just something he has very much built in. So his basic attack is the first one, just a single target. It's just a 2-hit attack that deals a magic damage equal to a scaling percentage of Imbibitor Lunae's attack to a single enemy. I think I'm just going to be saying Heng and ignoring the Imbibitor Lunae part from now on. So normal attack, 2-hit attack that does that. Now the thing is, he has 3 upgrades to his abilities, which are of course done through his skill. So we're going to go over the skill next, and then we'll go back to the basic attack. So using his skill is an Enhance. It doesn't cost any skill points to use this. It enhances the basic attack, and enhancements may be applied up to 3 times consecutively. Using the ability does not consume skill points and is not considered as using a skill. Enhanced once, his basic attack, Beneficent Lotus, becomes Transcendence. Enhanced twice, it becomes Divine Spear, and enhanced thrice, it becomes Fulgurant Leap. When using Divine Spirit or Fulgurant Leap, so that's either the 2 or 3 cost one, starting from the 4th hit, 1 stack of Outroar is gained before every hit. Each stack of Outroar increases Dan Heng's crit damage by 6.6% for a max of 4 stacks. These stacks last until the end of turn. So this adds on to when he uses his last 2 of these basic attacks, which you're about to go over. He gets something very similar to his talent, but instead of increasing damage, will increase crit damage. So crits are very, very important for this character. Dealing crits increases that damage by an insane amount, and of course the crit damage as well. So one of the main stats that we see here is obviously attack. A lot of his stuff is, all of his things are attack scaling, but crit rate is something else you're going to want to look at. But we'll be going over exactly how you want to build him in a little bit. So these are different ones. So to show it in an example, just to describe it to you, but we'll be seeing it in gameplay later. So you use his skill. It's very similar to someone like the Jade Ladies one, where you could use it multiple times. However, his, it just shows, it will show the skill point thing, and you just use like 1, 2, 3. So even though this thing says 1, this one says 1, it should say 2. These definitely, okay, the basic attack thing in here breaks a lot. As you can see, they all say 1. Right now, it's definitely a glitch. They don't all deal 1. It's 1, 2, and 3. The Fulgurant Leap being 3. So if yours is broken, just remember it is 1, 2, 3. It's not. Or yeah. So they don't add on though. It's not 1 and then 2, 3 and then 4, 5, whatever. Obviously, it's literally 1, 2, 3. So if you only have 1 skill point, you can only go up to Transcendence. If you have 2, to go Divine Spear. If you have 3, 4, 5, you can go up to Fulgurant Leap. And you will use that many skill points. So Transcendence, which is just 1 boost, is a 3-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to a scaling percent of Dan Heng attack to a single target enemy. As you can see, it grows up quite a bit. It was 50% before, 130%, and that's of course scales higher the more you upgrade his traces, which I haven't because I just there's a lot of grinding to do, and I gotta get this video out eventually, and I wasn't really ready grind wise. I almost never am. After that, it becomes a blast and it becomes a Divine Spear, and for 2 skill point cost, it's a 5-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to a scaling percentage of Dan Heng's attack to a single enemy target. And from the 4th hit onward, so just 4 and 5, simultaneously deals imaginary damage equal to a much smaller percent of Dan Heng's attack to adjacent target. So it does become a blast only for the last 2 hits, however. And finally, Fulgurant Leap, which is the one you obviously want to get. It's a 7-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to a very high scaling percent of Dan Heng's attack to a single enemy target. From the 4th hit onward, simultaneously deal imaginary damage equal to a very high scaling percent of Dan Heng's attack to adjacent targets. So that's from the 4th hit onward, so you get 4, 5, 6, 7. So you do get 4 hits that also hit the other enemies. So obviously you get insane to the point where it's like, kind of, even if you're against a single target, you'll probably want to go up to at least Divine Spirit or Fulgurant Leap, because you also want that crit damage as well. There's almost no thing where if you can't, you wouldn't go up to Divine Spear. However, that does mean he is very, very skill point heavy cost character. He is one of the most, he's hungry for the skill points, which not too many characters have been so far. There's somewhere obviously you want to use their skills a lot. One to think of it is Bronny. You probably want to use her skill almost pretty much every single time it comes to her turn, and a lot of other like status affected characters, and so that could be a problem with him, is that he really needs it to be able to deal insane damage. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes to the character. Let's go to the technique real quick, because we need to get back to that. So when you use this technique, Dan Heng enters the Leaping Dragon state for 20 seconds. While in the Leaping Dragon state, using his attack enables him to move forward rapidly for a set distance, attacking all enemies he touches and blocking all incoming attacks. After entering combat via attacking enemies in the Leaping Dragon state, Dan Heng deals imaginary damage equal to 120% of his attack to all enemies and gains 1 Squama Sacrosancta. My bad. So the reason we want to go over this technique before we go over the ultimate is because the ultimate is going to explain what this Squama Sacrosancta is. So his ultimate is a blast, and it's Azur's Aqua Ablutes All. Oh my gosh. Enough of these names. It's an energy cost of 140, which is on the higher end. I believe 140 is the highest energy cost, at least that I've seen for an ultimate. It is tied with some people have really high. I believe Blade has a 140 ultimate cost as well, 130. So his is really high. And Anyways, so he uses a 3-hit attack and deals a managing damage equal to a scaling percentage of Dan Heng's attack to a single enemy target. At the same time, deals a managing damage equal to a scaling percent of Dan Heng's attack to adjacent targets. Then obtains 2 of the Squama Sacrosancta stacks. It's possible to hold up to 3 of those, which can be used to offset Dan Heng's consumption of skill points. Consuming Squama Sacrosanta is considered equivalent to consuming skill points. So he can basically generate character exclusive skill points for himself. That's pretty much what that means. If you use his technique, you start with one of those. If you use his ultimate, you get 2 of them. You have 3 max, which of course is very useful because it helps negate some of that insane skill point usage that he has. That's pretty much his kit. Honestly, it's a little complicated with the basic attacks and skills when you read it all out like that, but it's pretty simple. Overall, pretty simple when you get to like the nitty gritty of it. He really only has a very little stats you need to worry about. He's got attack scaling, and he's got some crit damage built in, which means you want to crit, right? Very, 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 very simple kit overall, as far as also what you need to worry about. So obviously, I have his crit rate up to 70%. I do recommend getting that. We'll explain why, but obviously the attack, I want to get a lot higher, but I just haven't gotten to be able to do that yet. I don't have his relics all maxed out anyways, and I don't have like all the relics that I want to get for him, so that's part of the problem. Now, as far as the light cone goes, he has his own character-exclusive light cone. However, for a while, we've had characters who have character-exclusive light cones that are just so meant for them that there's almost no other way to go. Like, you have to get that light cone for them. Dan Heng is a character where I would say you don't need to get his light cone to max him out to like an insane degree, right? It's not the same as Blade, who is the only destruction light cone that gives him max HP, which is what all his damage is based off of. Dan Heng, however, his is just regular attack scaling, wants some crit. So right now, other than his, obviously it's the best one for him. If you get it, that's great, but it's not like you need it to really put him to another level, right? So right now I have Under the Blue Sky, which I believe is one you can just buy, but it's a 4-star light cone. Really not too bad to get, but it increases the wearer's attack by 20%, and when the wearer defeats an enemy, the wearer's crit rate increases by 15% for 3 turns. I would say other than his primary light cone, this is definitely the best one for him secondary. You just want to find things with attack and crit rate. We'll just see what other destruction light cones I have. Not that I have like a whole lot or like I have something really truly special or anything. Right, so this is damage dealt by the wearer. So that's not really super useful. Extra damage dealt isn't great. You really want to be getting up those percentages, things that he has. Basic attack and skill damage, yet again, not something you really want. 20% more damage, right? This is not really something you want. Attack increase, there you go. And increases the damage inflicted with burn or bleed. Also not something you want because he doesn't inflict that himself. So really, as far as the destruction icons I have, at least, this is ignoring any 3-star ones. I would say that this one, Under the Blue Sky, is truly like the best one for him. So try to get that one for him if you can't get his main one. And his main one isn't super necessary if you could get this 4-star light cone. It's still really good for him. So traces, there's no really point going over there. As you can see, I actually didn't get that one. Oops, that's not great. This is going to be the best showcase ever. I usually like to get that one. I didn't realize I missed it, but we'll continue on. Hopefully it's not something super important. Anyways, so the first one is Star Veil, which at the start of the battle immediately regenerates 15 energy. Very nice. That's just a quick battle buff. That's not too bad. Aqua Rain increases the chance to resist crowd control debuffs by 35%. That's also really useful, just general. Nothing crazy yet. This one is the crazy one. That's crazy. The character's crit damage increases by 24% when dealing damage to enemy targets with imaginary weakness, which of course you want to be using a character who is imaginary against enemies with imaginary weakness. Who would have guessed? If they make a character that implants imaginary weaknesses on an enemy, Imbibitor Lunae is going to go up in stocks a ton, and mono imaginary teams in general go up a ton. You probably, whichever character that does that, plus Imbibitor Lunae, plus Locha, plus Yukong, just because she's so great against enemies weak to imaginary, would be like one of the best teams in the game for sure. You wouldn't even need a Welt, which would be great for me. So as far as relics that I recommend, this is the build I've seen going around a lot lately. Like I said, I was leveling up. This one I don't want to keep because it's a 4-star one, but it's decent for what I need. It's the only one I can get. But what you want to do is you want to do a double build for him. There's not too many characters where you want to just there's not too many characters where you want to split up their builds. They're like relic builds, but there are a couple, and Imbibitor Lunae is one of them. So what I recommend is Musketeer the Wild Wheat to get a % attack increase. That's just exactly what he needs. And then Wastelander just increases magic damage by 10%. Honestly, a damage, it isn't great on light cones when you can just upgrade attack %. But when you don't have anything else that is attack %, you want to get like imaginary damage increases right there, which is great. Because guess what? Everything he does is imaginary damage, so it's fine. As far as his planar sets, I recommend the Rudal Arena. It's one of the newer ones. I believe it is like in the newest one. But it increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%, and that's nice. And when the wearer's current crit rate reaches 70% or higher, the wearer's basic attack and skill damage increases by 20%. So that's not super necessary. Like, it's just basic attack and skill damage increases, which is nice. It's a little extra, but it's not like you need to get that. So you don't really need to worry about getting the crit rate up to that insane level to activate the secondary part. The secondary part is super necessary, but you want to get a lot of crit rate in him anyways, because you want him to be critic. So you get the extra crit damage. And then his dupes will go over. I have dupe 1 on him, which is Tethered to Sky. So increases the stackable Righteous Heart count by 4 and gains 1 extra stack of Righteous Heart for each hit during an attack, which is, of course, great. I believe that only in the regular one, it only went up to 3, and you only got 1 off of them. So this will allow you to deal a lot more damage a lot quicker. 2 is Imperium on Cloud 9. After using his ultimate, his action is advanced forward by 100% and gains 1 extra of the Squama Sacrosancta. That is really good. Getting him on E2 is a game changer. Obviously, being able to do the ultimate, being able to use your turn again right after, gaining 1 extra thing, which means you will get 3, which means you will be able to use his ultimate and then use his 3rd level basic attack for free, and you'll be able to do insane damage. So if, I don't recommend summoning him in the first place, but if you're just the biggest Dan Heng fan, you missed out on Zealot, you missed out on Silver Wolf, you're like, I need something, you got all this Jade, you don't want to wait forever, then yeah, putting all your Jade into him to get into E2 is not a bad idea. Number 3 is Clothed in Clouds, which is a level up one. 4, Zephyr's Bliss is the buff effect granted by Outroar lasts until the end of this character's next turn, meaning you could stack it up even more, be able to deal that, that's the crit one. That's the one that gives you extra crit damage, meaning that your other attacks before you would get the Outroar thing, which I believe Outroar starts at like 4 or 3, meaning those first couple hits will be able to get that as well. Obviously nice. 5, Falls of Prize level 1, and 6, Rain Returned. After any other ally uses their ultimate, the imaginary resistant pen of Dan Heng's next Fulgurant Leap, which is the 3rd one, attack increases by 20%. This effect can stack up to 3 times. So if everyone uses their ultimate before Dan Heng's attack, he gets 60% imaginary resistant penetration on his Fulgurant Leap, which is great. It says let's see here. It says any other ally, meaning that his ultimate would not count in that case, which is a shame. But of course, you have all 3 of your allies use their ultimate, use his ultimate, and by that time, you'd also have E2 would be able to go again, get a free Fulgurant Leap, which have insane imaginary resistant penetration. So if we're focusing on his things, obviously you want to get attack, crit rate, getting a little bit of crit damage in there as well isn't that bad, but he'll also have natural crit damage increasers. I need to up his attack. Obviously, I need to up some of these other relics to just higher attacks. I would recommend on the 2 that you can get that are different, you should get crit rate probably. Not crit rate. You should only get 1 that has crit rate. The rest of them just attack scaling %. Because you will be able to get that crit rate too insane. However, every other one I recommend having a secondary crit rate. Right. All right, next we're going to be looking at the teams. We're going to be using some content. Now, I have the teams very unbalanced relatively to start off. So the first fight we're going to is a Dan Heng focused comp. We're going to be focusing on maximizing his damage, maximizing to see what he can do pretty much by himself. Can he carry by himself? Is he one of those carry characters, which I believe he will? The second team we're going on is a much more balanced team. This is something you'd probably see much more. This is probably something you'd run in content a lot more, much more balanced team. And then the last one, I like to do one which is like a budget team, which is only free-to-play characters / 4-star characters. So something where if you're only 5-star is Dan Heng, then this is the type of team you could build. Let's see how well he does. All right, so the first stage we're going to bring him into is No 2 on the Xianjiao Membrance stage 1. So this one should be pretty decent, I believe. We have a handful of enemies who will be weak to him. So we're going to do this. We're going to throw the support on. These two have nothing else. So we're going to look at his leaping dragon. So we enhance. He gets his little thing. You tell it's because he's blue. His attack will send him forward. As we can see, it sends him pretty far forward, and we get attacked from pretty far away. He cannot take damage in this state as well, which makes it useful if you're just running around. And of course, it deals a good amount of damage. Then we're gonna be looking at Dan Heng. He's obviously I usually do most of these things post. The other two fights I will do in post sped up, but this one I really want to show what he does and how he does it. So right now he does indeed have we only have two things, so we're not gonna be able to show his next level. But I didn't want to show the next level one anyways. I wanted to show his first one. So this is gonna be the normal single attack. It will deal 2 hits. As you can see, 1, 2, just on one target. Very simple. Let's just do single target. We won't really worry about building up their buffs quite yet. We want Dan Heng to go. We don't care about like winning the fight. We care about seeing how well he does. So we'll just bring him up here right away. We don't want to wait for other people's turns. So now I want to show what 1 does. So 1 is the first level. I forget what it's called. I believe it's Transcendence. So this one will just do single target damage, but it does 3 hits, I believe. There we go. Very simple. Do that. Obviously it imprisons because he does like normal type damage like that. These characters should die. This is the first one in the Joe is really simple. All right, let's bring Dan Heng up here again. We have plenty of things. Let's go to second one. This one will begin to do blast. As we can see, it does blast right here. Do like that. As you can see, it does still deal this amount of damage. It will break any of these enemies we choose. So let's do this one. See this one? I believe this one has 5 hits. It did do quite a lot of damage. That was very nice. We could see that they did a decent amount of crits. This isn't the last fight of this one, right? There's one more. I think so. I guess we'll find out. All right, so this is fine. This will be able to let him use this last one. All right. Remember, we are also getting the brownie one. So let's look at this final one, just see what it looks like. So that's just to go how to use it. So this one will kill very easily. This one will do a full blast. Full damage does a total 39,000, which is not nothing. That is definitely not nothing. All right, so we're gonna use the ultimates here, just to buff and everything like that. You get the speed buff, you get attack and crit damage support. Bronya will be very, very good with him if you can't run like full imaginary, which generally you won't really want to. Anyways, might as well use his ultimate as well. Let's see what we could do with his ultimate here. Yep, that was very good to do 32k and also did a lot of damage that way. All right, obviously he's really good. We didn't even get a chance. We're gonna run back into that one. We're gonna run back into that. I'll be right back. All right, so we're back in this one. Obviously he's great. Like obviously he but this is also these guys are like what recommended level 50 to fight these guys, so it's not like this is crazy. He's level 80. But the point is, I wanted to see his damage and everything like that. So I'm gonna do this. I don't think that counts towards your thing. 2. Okay, not really. So we're gonna worry about getting the other guy's buffs up. We're gonna not worry about your impair. We want to use your ultimate. You are not gonna do anything for sure. All right. We need to get your buff up though, which is not easy. Okay. All right. This should be fine. So we have 4 right now. But we don't have her buff up yet. Okay. All right. We'll wait a second. We'll wait a second. Get that buff up. Let's keep your buff up. We're at 5. That's perfect. So let's do that normal one. I want to see what the... Okay, all right. This one should be perfect. So we'll use this here. Boom, he'll get the damage increase. Now we're going to use all of these buffs, and Asta's buff is on. Obviously, this one buffs, but Pella's does like... what is it? Defense reduction, which is fine. I say everything's fine as long as it's a kill. And this one, does this one just give speed? I thought it gives something else. Just speed. All right. So we're gonna do the double enhance. Triple enhance. I mean. So we're just gonna see how much damage this does, how much damage they could do. He has one of these squama, whatever you could see down there. It's the 3 right there. Let's just see how much damage he could do with his normal thing. That was 57k damage. You know, obviously there's a lot of buffs out there, everything. Obviously he was like wanked a little bit, but it's pretty crazy. Let's use the ultimate and see how this does. If we can just one shot. We got the damage increase, we got the other stuff. One thing also we should look at is how many crits he's getting. It's very hard. It looks like they were all criticals, and obviously he one-shot that one very easily. So I would say that was a very good first showing for him. We were able to show off everything he does. He has a very simple kit overall. We were able to show off everything he does there. Now we're going to be doing the other 2 fights, and I will see you there after. So here we have the balanced team. Now, the balanced team is really, really good. It's high-tier characters, good characters, right? This is like, you know, the ultimate, the next level you could have Dan Heng here be. And of course, we destroy this stage. This is the final one of the memory, Hall of Memories, just the normal one. This is against Jeopard. It's not like this is a super easy fight. It's not like it's like the hardest fight in the game. It's not like it's super easy, but we mollywop this one. This one, we make it look very, very easy. I'm pretty sure we almost one-turn him. Like one round him here? I think we do. Almost. I think we get him down to 1%, but you know, this is obviously a really strong team, but the point is like, well, how well does Dan Heng, how does he stack up to these top tiers? How much does he do for the fight? And he does a ton for the fight. He does so much damage. He deals an insane amount of damage. Of course, Blade comes in here and deals like even more damage, but my Blade is maxed out. No dupes, but everything else is at the best it could be, right? We get another 1% in one thing, right? It's just that simple. Too good, too great. He's obviously good with everyone else. Now this is the budget team, right? Only free to plays, only 4 stars. Not too much we could have gleaned from the balanced one, other than that he does a lot of damage. He's really good with other huge damage dealers. One thing that you might want to look at from the last one is Blade obviously doesn't generate any skill points. That might be one thing to think about. But on this one is to be like, hey, can Dan Heng carry you? Do you have him? Does he just make your life easier, right? We have a free-to-play. The rest of the characters on this team are free-to-play characters. And, of course, he does carry. This isn't an easy fight. It can be pretty hard. This is of the new Xianzhou. I believe this is stage 2, fight 2, right? This isn't like a super easy fight. I don't think this fight's super hard. It turns out I actually didn't 3-star this one when I went through the Xianzhou event stuff. I probably just was doing it quick and was like, I'll come back to this one, and I just never came back to it. But I do now. I do 3-star this one quite easily, actually, without even trying. And the second fight is a harder one, and I'm doing it with a free-to-play team. So it just goes to show, oh, hey, Dan Heng, he is truly next level, and we are just focusing on him. We're dealing with the blasts, to deal with the swords from Dan Heng's attack, and he's really able to do it really well. He is a next level. He is a carry character, which is, part of what we want to see. His damage is enough to be pretty much the sole damage dealer on the team. We have help, obviously, with the Trailblazer as far as defenses go, but his defenses are fine. Obviously, Natasha's healing as well, but she's a free-to-play healer. We're just fine. We deal such an insane amount of damage. We use ult all the time. Despite being at a 140 energy, you get it quite often. Obviously, he's a skill point heavy character, but I never feel like I'm too. The only thing is sometimes I have to be okay, I can't use a skill point with this character because I just need to save so many. With Yukong, I was okay, I could have turned out. I misplayed. I could have used her support. I didn't because I was oh, I need those for Dan Heng, but he had his Santa whatever ones. So that's something to think about. That might be a little hard. His kit is so simple, but you gotta make sure you're making sure you're careful about his stacks there, so that you can be oh yeah, I could use stuff here. Might be worried about running him with characters that aren't that take a lot of skill points as well, or don't even generate any Blade. But I think it's fine. You can fit him on most teams. He's a wonderful imaginary option. Wonderful. Alright, that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys are interested in more Honkai Star Rail content, any more showcases, stuff like that, please subscribe, like the video. And with that, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.